Hey, bLouChip Consulting here. We're going to go ahead and convert to plasma from a router setup. So I just finished a router job. Still got my clamps on the table, router's mounted. So we're going to film this whole thing as a conversion to plasma process. And we'll see how long it takes. I think we can do it in about 30 minutes. That includes getting water in the table, all that. So I'm removing my hold down clamps for the router process. These are 6-inch by 1/4 inch thick by 1 inch wide. So 1 by 1/4 mild steel with a 0.3 slot cut in them for a 1/4 bolt. And I find that the steel I can get good tension on the hold down as opposed to aluminum at that length. And I was going to bend them, put a little crown on it, but I kind of like using them flat. And then I just put the same dimension I'm clamping or thereabouts, I put on the backside to get more or less of a level clamp as opposed to an angled clamp like this. Right? That's not as tight of a hold as if you have a level hold down. So anyway, that's the hold down. I'll set those over here. Okay, wrench away. So I'm going to talk to myself during this. I'm going to talk to you during this process. These are my 1/2 inch spacers to give me a level clamp. And this is the, I use 1/4 inch Luan or 5 mil Luan as my spacer under my workpiece and on top of the spoils board, so I can avoid a problem like that, which was a runaway router bit that I had, came loose on my Makita router. But anyway, that was obviously an accident, but when I'm doing a cut through, doing a contour cut through of the workpiece, I don't want to mar up my spoils board. So, okay, so then I'm going to remove the clamps. I got these welding clamps that I use for a hold down. Actually, I can put that right there. That right there. And that just keeps the spoils board nice and secure to the table, since the spoils board is removable, which we're going to be doing in just a moment. So then I pull my locator pins. I got four sockets, I don't know if you can see them here, that locate the CNC frame, the blue frame, the open bed frame, to my table, okay? And then I have, on this MDF board, I have diagonal, so these are diagonal. Well, these, on the table, they're on every side, 4 of them. On the blue frame, I guess I got 4 of them there too, so I can pick any corner to do my diagonal pinning. I'm gonna leave this pin in for a moment. I just took it out to show you. And then these wooden pins are the ones I use to locate the MDF to both the frame and the table. So they go through 3 bushings. And they're not, well, they're sort of tapered, but they get tight when I push them down in there. So they got a minor taper to them, I guess. Okay, going to move my fumes extractor out of the way here. That's for plasma and laser cutting. I'm going to unplug the router, plug it into my uninterruptible power supply. It gives me about 30 seconds of router power if I get a power flicker or the power just goes out. I try to avoid cutting during thunderstorms and whatnot. But if the power goes out, I got 30 seconds to pause the job, and the adrenal board is run by the computer, 5 volts from the computer. So adrenal will hold its position in the program, but I'll drop the motor power and everything else, the router and everything else that takes high power. So this is the hose connection for the vacuum. This is the dust boot on the router. This is a nice deal. This magnetically attaches to the bottom, so I already took it off, but when this is up there, I can pull this off. I can do service to my router bit, check it that it's tight, do the zeroing, all that, without having to remove this collar every time. I just remove the brush, and the brush is keyed, so it goes on, it snaps in a certain position, and so forth. All right, so let's get that router bit out of there. Just holding the spindle lock and loosening the collet. I just posted this morning in the MillRight forum, responding to a guy that might have an EMI problem with the router, but unrelated to EMI and RFI. This nut that that tightens the collet is not a 2-stage nut like the DeWalt has. The DeWalt has kind of a safety catch, so that if this ever loosens, the collet has some kind of a design where the nut has to pull the collet down in order for it to loosen. And in order for that to happen, you'll loosen about 1/8 of a turn when you loosen the DeWalt, and then you got to put the wrench on it to break the collet out of the spindle. And on the Makita, they don't have that. That collet is automatically loose when the nut loosens. So that can be a problem, because the reason this gouge got into my spoils board the other day is the bit, I thought I had it tight, and the nut must have loosened enough that the bit dropped, and while it was dropping, it was still spinning, and it spun right into here, and that's how far it went before I was able to stop it. So it was about 1 second. That's about 1 second of distance there on the cut. So just throwing that out there. So I stow this over here. All right, well, I don't have power on the machine yet, so I am just gonna, by hand, I'm gonna turn my coupling up here on the Z and bring this down so I can remove the router mount. There, we're down on maximum Z there. I get my Allen wrench. So the first thing I do is I take the router out. And this router mount from MillRight, it's a replacement from the original one. The original one was plasma cut, more than likely. It's aluminum. But anyway, this one is machined, and the plasma cut one had some striations on it, and the router would have a little play even when it was tight, because they weren't straight walls. So this one is so straight and so tight, I gotta actually put a screwdriver in here to release tension and then pull straight up, which I'm not doing. I gotta release tension on the, there we go, on the clamp, and then pull that guy straight up. And now he's out. I just coil this. How we doing on time, Blaze? We can do this about 5 minutes?
No, a little bit more than 5 minutes.
Oh boy. Gotta pick it up here. Well, I don't want to make a mistake, so I'm not going to go too fast. So, those that are familiar with the MillRight router mount, there's 2 socket cap screws from the backside that hold it onto the Z plate, and I'm just taking those off. Let's see, turn them the right way. Backwards, so that's to the left. There we go. They were nice and tight, and that's good. So I did a lot of routing yesterday. Did about, well, what's a lot, right? A lot is based on the kind of stuff that I'm doing. I did about an hour and a half's worth of routing yesterday in 2 jobs. So about 45-minute runs each. And cutting bow ties for a wood project. So it's good to know that all this stuff remained tight. I check it, you know, between jobs, and everything was still tight. Ever since that router bit got loose, I'm kind of paranoid about that, so I check it more frequently. I don't think I had that router bit tight enough when that happened the other day. So that's the router mount. So just gonna park these socket cap screws in the threads here so they're there the next time. And then stow this. Okay. My Model T is the precision part storage area. So I keep my torch in there, and the router, and the laser. Okay, so now our pins are out of the MDF. I'm going to pull this to the front so I don't get any, uh-oh. Oh, that was a problem. I pulled it off the daggum track. Blaze, I'm going to need your help here. Oh, can't believe I did that. I pulled it too far forward and it went off the rack. So put your finger on the gear. See the gear right here? You got to put your finger on the gear and roll it back onto the rack. You ready to roll? Rolling backwards.
Yeah.
There we go. We're on. Okay. Now hopefully, well, it shouldn't be out of alignment because the teeth are aligned. So don't pull it all the way forward, you knucklehead. All right. I'm talking to myself.
I can see that, Louis.
All right. All right. Lift this MDF up. This weighs about 40 pounds.
All right.
I got it. I just tip it down and it comes to the floor. So I bring that to the edge, tip it down on the floor. And now you get a good view of this. So this is 3/4 by 3/4 by 16 gauge wall tubing that gives rigidity to this MDF so that when it sets around my perimeter, it doesn't sag or crown. So to the extent that this grid is on a single plane, which it's plus or minus a millimeter. So I may have a millimeter of run out in different places on the table. If I ever wanted to fix that, I'll figure out a way to do it. right now it hasn't been a problem. And I don't even know that it's a millimeter. I've never measured it, but I'm just saying it's possible given the way this is designed. But so be it on that. There would be ways to fix it if I wanted to fix it or if I had to fix it. Okay, now is the interesting part. We got to move the table to lift the machine, because when I put the machine down, I was doing some welding on the table and I left my welding top on because I was in a hurry. Never be in a hurry, it makes more work later. So here's the more work. I got to move the machine. Meaning I got to lift it to get my welding top off of it. So I'm unhooking the computer. The CNC has been off. I haven't turned it on yet. I was just waiting for the computer to boot up. It's booted up, and now I got to remove it to do a lift. So I removed the power cord. I'm going to put the gantry to the rear because that's where the weight distribution likes to have it. It's very sensitive to weight distribution on the hoist. So I'm going to bring this to the rear, and this guy goes all the way over to this end. And you know, when you move these motors without the power on, it does create some back EMF to the drivers. So you got to do it with a little sensitivity to the fact that you don't want to be frying your driver transistors with back EMF coming out of these motors, because the motors have permanent magnets in copper coil fields, and it's going to create some voltage going back in there. Okay, we need to take our strain relief down. So we're pretty much preparing this as if we were hoisting it for storage, because we're hoisting it. So now I got to move the table to the landing zone. That was supposed to be locked in. Perfect example of a screw coming loose. Plug that in. This device doubles as my bending jig. A forked bending tool that I use either in the vise or on the anvil. So what I got to do here, Blaze, the other day, in an attempt to actually remove some runout that I was talking about before, I had about 3/10 of a millimeter of runout from left to right, meaning I was, which way am I going here? I was routing a contour to cut the bow tie out, and I had about 3/10 of a millimeter over 27 inches left to right that my depth was off. So I thought, well, that's because the table's not exact, right? Not dialed in. The MDF spoil cord. And I thought, well, before I jump through a lot of hoops to try and level the MDF, not level, but yeah, I guess put it on a plane that's parallel to the gantry, okay, and perpendicular to the Z, exactly. I thought I would make sure that the feet of my table all carry the same weight. So I cranked a little more weight where it needed it on a few legs. So that's why my bolts were down. My leg levelers. Normally I don't have to mess with them. All right, so I'm gonna pick this up and I gotta move it over about 8 inches to the landing zone. That's pretty good right there. Now we just go forward. A little bit more. I got a mark on the floor. There we go. That's it.
Bring it down.
We're not safety chained because there's no weight on it. Yeah, you can get back there. I'm bringing it down. What now? Yeah, we're just lifting it about 8 inches. We just need to lift it enough to get the steel off of the table to expose the water pan. Again, I shouldn't have had the steel on the table. I was in a hurry and I left it on. When I went from welding to routing the other day. So, all right, so again, let them hang, please, so that they don't twist, and then come in from the bottom.
Right.
Short ones on that side, long ones on this side. So I got 2 3/8 lengths of chain that I weld into my corner of my handles here. And that's what we clip into basically with a modified D-ring. So we're lifting about 140 pounds. I got about 40 pounds of frame. The blue steel is about 40 pounds. The MillRight black and yellow components are about 100 pounds. That was the shipping weight when I got it. So about 140. Okay, you're clipped in.
Yep.
And we're not pinching any links.
Yep.
Everybody's free there. Okay. All right. We're free of cables. Pins got to come out. The locating pins now come out. Otherwise, they'll bind those bushings and get things out of whack. Just jiggle it. There you go. I don't take the pins out until I get it on the chain, in case we get distracted or something moves. I don't want it to be unsecured to the table. All right, going up. Okay. That's good right there. Get a little more level by moving this tray. All right, you want to get that or you want me to get it?
What, these plates?
Yeah. Take that and watch the feet now. That goes under the table. You got that tube behind you too, that orange one. Just,
Under this table here?
yep. You see this channel? No, they go in that channel. Here. Sorry, you don't see it because of that board. Down, right there. Oh, wow. Right there.
it was there.
Yeah, well, you watch me do it 100 times. How do you not know it's there?
No, you usually don't let me.
Well,
It's too advanced.
I don't want to put you under that stress.
Just shift it my way.
It goes in this way. All right, you sure you got it? You want
I
me to
got it.
come
No, I got it a little.
Okay, yep, that orange tube is behind you.
I
Either
see
way.
it.
Be poking a hole in my tube. All right. Now this one's the next one. Those weigh 30 pounds. Quit acting like they're heavy for the camera. You got no comeback on that one.
Oh, I do.
You just can't say it on
I
camera.
can't say it.
Can't say it on camera. All right. Well, I appreciate you doing that for me. Okay, now we're coming down. Now let's pin it.
Are we square on it?
Where'd I
Square
put
on the table?
Well, not yet. We're going to pin it. That'll get us square. Here's your pin. I'll put mine in first, and then yours will be a little easier. Come on. Wait. All right, I'm in. Just jiggle it. It'll
Got it.
drop
Okay.
right in. Okay. All right, now we can unhook. And what I do is I put the little one, the short chain clips into the long one, and then I put the long one on the bolt. So that way it minimizes how much chain dangles down and won't hit me in the head or the fishing pole. Strain relief. No. Hang the D-ring on the bolt. There you go. All right. Okay, we're unhooked. Going out. There we go. All right. Push the shelf back. There we go. Okay, now this, and we move the table back and over so I have enough room to maneuver around things. Good idea, please. You're thinking.